Hello and welcome to the BITM Day 1 of Trent on Track on the B stream. And my name is Yataragasu, and joining me today is Jake. Say hello to everybody, Jake.
Hello. Welcome. It's good to be here.
Glad to hear it. I'd be disappointed if it wasn't. So on the B stream today, we're going to have two of the matches that are being played offline. Well, say they're all played offline, but that won't be played on the mainstream and on stage. And the first of which today, we have Good Focus versus Evo in the upper bracket. The format of the tournament will be everybody starts off in the upper bracket, as you can see on screen now. Based on the seeding and the qualifiers, everybody will be playing one match against, so first seed will play 8th seed and second versus 7th and so on. On the second stream today, we first have the 4th seed against the 5th seed, and Good Focus being the 4th seed and Evo being the 5th seed. And then later on, we will be having Walls versus LLD, and that is the 3rd versus 6th seed. So there'll be exciting matches. What do you think? What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're all going to be exciting matches anyway, regardless of what seed we are watching on this stream. They went through qualification, so these are, I'd say, the best of the best in terms of this tournament. It's just, they're just so good, and I feel like we can see some really good racing today, to be fair.
Yeah, hopefully so. The format of the tournament is slightly different now, or it's the format of the matches than what we saw in qualification last week. So previously, the matches were best of 3, where there was a 2-pick, 2-ban, and then the last match was the last map was randomly chosen. Well, I say randomly chosen. There was only one map left, so it was the one that was left. But this week, instead, all the matches are best of 5. So instead, it'll be 2 picks each, and then the final map won't be selected. And we do have some interesting maps. They are quite difficult, coming from a non-professional such as myself, I suppose. You've had a bit of time to play on the maps as well, Jake. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, speak for yourself, saying a non-professional. I thought they were quite easy. No, these maps are really, really hard. I haven't put a lot of time into them, but I mean, there's so many technical things that you have to do on the map. I mean, on one of the maps, I would say no spoilers, but we've already seen them. There's like a no grip 360. There's an ice 360, which I know a lot of players had trouble with when they first played the maps, but they look like they've got the grips with it, pun intended. So, I mean, it's going to be tough. It's going to be so tough. And maybe the pressure gets to them. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
And speaking of pressure, this is obviously a LAN event held in the lovely Stoke-on-Trent, hence the Trent on Track. And for a lot of these players, it'll be their first experience of a in-person LAN, and that will add to the pressure. I mean, some of the other players throughout the tournament will have played in LANs before. We've seen people like Bozbears, Crows, I believe Wizzy as well have all played in LANs, and of course Epos. So that LAN experience will probably stand them in good stead, whereas some of the either less experienced or newer players to the scene, maybe they've never done anything like this, and it'll be interesting to see how they adapt.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like you just mentioned, people have previous experience with LANs, so like you said, the pressure might not get to them as much. But I don't think pressure will play that much of a part in today's games, just because, one, obviously these games aren't on stage, like you mentioned earlier. But even then, like, anything can happen in these games. Like, let's be real. These maps are so crashy, and you have to be so precise with each turn. It's just a testament to their skill, really.
Yeah, and one thing about Trackmania when it comes to pressure is it's quite a psychological game. I mean, you could watch most of these players in TA and warming up, and they'll make few mistakes. They'll be consistent enough. They'll have practiced enough for this. I mean, we have quite a large prize pool for the event. I believe it's 1,700 for in terms of prizes, which is obviously very, very exciting. So they will have put in the effort. But when it comes to the actual driving, if you start making mistakes, it's so easy to let that affect your mental and then just keep making those same mistakes or trying to change your line to avoid them and then being sort of off what you're expecting to do for the rest of the map. So it's just to see who can keep their mental as well, which will be very, very good to see.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the prize pool there as well. I do believe they also have a Wooting giveaway of 2 Uwus on Sunday for spectators. So if you are there, be sure to feel some luck. Wear your lucky socks, maybe your lucky boxers, anything like that. Just to gain the edge over other people, I should say, because they are quite good keyboards, I believe, right? I'm not too familiar with Wooting.
Yes, I mean it's a very good prize for sure. I'll say that. But maybe we've got a few minutes until this match gets underway. Maybe we should introduce the players and speak about what we expect to happen or what we're hoping to see from this match. So maybe I'll start and I'll introduce the good focus and you can do Evo. Uh-huh. So the good focus team for today is Babs, Ireland's own Babs, who will be playing alongside Jussie DR, the Dutch player. And they qualified in second place in Qualifier 2, which gives them the 4th seed in the competition. And they will be up against Evo.
Yeah, I mean, Evo are looking very strong with the players they've got. They've got Key, who obviously hails from Poland, and alongside him, we've got Josh. And I know Josh is really making a name for himself at the moment. He's doing competitions. He's putting his name on the map, really. I know he's a very, very well-known player. I mean, Key's a very good player in his own right. So I feel like it's gonna be really, really close, to be honest. I mean, I'm looking at the PBs now. Josh currently the online records. I can't attest to offline records, but Josh is currently in the lead with the 53.627, and then just behind him is Jussie with a .670. I mean, online records, it's so close, and between these 4 players. So it's just who can keep the pace in rounds rather than TA, really.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense with the 4th and 5th seed being as close as they are, so it should be a very good match. In my opinion, I think Evo are favourites, to be totally honest. Mm-hmm. There was a chance, obviously, I believe Good Focus played in the first qualifier and didn't actually make it out of it, so Evo would have qualified ahead of them. So in terms of performance in the first round, it looks like Evo were the better of the two. I think consistency is going to be the name of the game. I think that's probably fairly obvious. I think that's always the case with Trackmania.
Yeah.
But
sure.
I mean, with the format being the same as the World Tour format, so aces are a 3-0, winning a round is a 2-1, a draw is 1-1, and I guess they're all the possible results. So as long as you manage to keep on the track, you'll likely get a second and third, because with how difficult these tracks are, there's always a very good chance of some crashes occurring. But now we're into the picks and bans, or just the picks, I guess, this week. And Good Focus as the higher seed will be going first. It'll be interesting to see what they pick. I think a lot of similar maps were picked over the last week. I think Flower was a map that was picked quite a lot. Mm-hmm. I think there was quite a lot of the same maps being banned as well. Maybe being a little bit too hard for playing in rounds, but they have. Yep.
Go on. Sorry. It might be a strategy to pick the harder maps, maybe even at LAN more so, because maybe, again, pressure. I keep saying this word, but it might, tilt them a tiny bit, and they might become more stressed. So on the harder maps, if you're comfortable on it more than the opponents, it just might become better, really.
Yeah, and it looks like Evo is going for some of the harder maps, especially soccer, as we'll call it, not by its full name. But as you can see, Flower was picked first by Good Focus, which I think I think is one of the more popular maps to pick. I've seen it been picked multiple times. Soccer also was picked quite a lot, but I did see Perfect Blue being banned. And actually, I thought Peak was picked quite a lot as well. So Wildfire was the second pick for Good Focus. So this is the order of the maps we're going to play. Obviously, it's a best of 5. So we'll see what happens there. Peak was obviously the decider. So I guess both teams will be hoping we don't make it to that. But yes, we'll be starting on Flower, which is a map. Obviously.
No. It is a map. Yes, you are correct.
I mean, they're all maps. But yeah, it's a map by Mime, who is very active actually in the BITM community, which is nice to see people from outside Britain and Ireland playing and helping with a lot of maps. I think Mime has mapped for quite a lot of the competitions, some BIPLs and BIPCs over the last few years as well. So we're now into warm up. I could have left it and hoped that Jake started casting it, but I'll be nice, at least for the first round.
I'm not that tired. I still have my wits about me. So an interesting talking point on Flower is there is a regrip that only Vinky did when I looked at records. I didn't have an in-depth view of everyone who's playing in the tournament, but I definitely did see Vinky do it, and I'm unsure if it's faster, but I know he does get a regrip, and it gives him more speed, which is interesting because it looked like he lost some time, but then gained it throughout the rest of the map. It might be a line to look out for. Maybe players adopt it, or maybe they don't. Maybe they play safe in these rounds and hope to pick up a few points where they might miss them if they go for it.
Yep, and there's a few parts on this map which are a little bit scary. I would say this is probably not the hardest map that we have in the map pack, but there is some outside dirt as well and some clips which we'll need to look out for. But we're going into the first round here, and fairly normal start from everyone, getting the regrip. No issues coming into the first drift. This drift some people take wide, but there's a mistake from Babs, so now it's down to the last 3. Josh and Key out front, a very small lead. No further mistakes. It's already up to a 0.2-ish lead for Josh. Coming into the dirt section here with the scary outside. Jussie is really having to push here, trying to make sure there's no ace, and he's taken a really wide outside. He's got a lot of speed. He's coming through. He'll pass both of them here. But Josh and Key, he just turned a little bit too much. So Josh and Key with the advantage going into the end. Jussie really has to push here to get anything back for this round for his team. And he looks like he's got more speed than Key. Will he be able to keep it through? Getting some airtime to skip the penalty. Coming into the end here, Key is still just ahead. Josh is in first place, and it was dead on the line, but Key manages to hold it. And that's an ace for Evo Esports.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was a round. Obviously, Babs crashed the start, so it was a bit haywire, but it was nice that they secured the 3 points there as we get into the second round. And there's a touch from, I do believe it's Jussie, as we head towards the front of the pack here. Babs maybe wants some redemption for this round, so he might push some more, or maybe plays it safe. Who knows? Guess we'll have to find out. Josh looks like he's, gaining a further lead. I mean, again, he has got one of the faster times on this map.
Mistake from Babs.
Oh, brilliant. So maybe, again, some players play with HUD off. If they have HUD on, they should be able to see that they can probably safe if they want to go for the draw. No, the 2 points, right?
The draw is 1 each, but this should be an ace. But Babs, to be honest, key mistake from Key up front. So now it's between Josh and Babs. Babs' mistake was, I believe, not a big one, because he's actually catching up with Josh here. He has more speed, but he just manages to hold it on the line. If anything, they saved too much there. I mean, there was a mistake from Babs, but it clearly wasn't a big mistake. He clipped the fencing on the dirt section, or just after the dirt section, and it looked like he was going to lose a load of time, but I think he managed to hold it somehow.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be such close rounds between these 4 here. I feel like one crash like that from Babs once again. Or was it Josh? Josh, sorry. Sorry, I need the names on. So Josh looks like he will trail during this round. Maybe he can catch up, but it's looking unlikely with a 0.4 disadvantage here. Looking towards the front of the pack now. Key keeping his lead, although this outside here is very, very scary. You got to kind of just throw yourself into it and kind of hope for the best. No go for that regrip on the outside that we did see Vinky do. So it's looking close coming into the latter end of the track as there's a touch from Key there. So now Jussie and Babs, if they save this round, they should secure the 3-0. So they should into the final turn. It's looking close, and that should be a 1-2 for Good Focus.
It's a 3-0 because it's an ace.
Oh, 3-0. Yeah.
So that was really important for Good Focus. They were behind an ace and they'd been making a lot of mistakes, and Evo looked like the more consistent of the two, but then a good round from both Babs and Jussie, and then a couple of mistakes as well from Evo, even though it was dead even between them going through. It's such an important result, that round. As we go into the next round on the map here, it's 5-4 to Evo, but there's been no big mistakes anyway so far from any of the players. Babs is a little bit behind, but he can still catch up to Josh. In fact, he passes him here on the dirt. We're coming into the scary outside again. Everyone takes it fine, and everybody is taking sort of a relatively normal line here through the reactor section. It's all in a line here. You could throw a blanket over all of them. Babs taking more speed through the grass section here, and a touch from Josh. And Jussie has more speed than Key. Going into the end here, Babs has more speed as well. Key made a mistake. Jussie, Key's got more speed. Will he pass him on the line? He takes him on the line.
Wow.
13 thousandths, and that is such a big pass there at the end from Key. He looked like he had less speed than both Babs and Jussie, and that could have been an ace for Good Focus, but instead it was a drawn round, which means Evo have the advantage coming into the next round.
Yeah, I mean, that time from Key there was only 0.1 from his online record. Again, we don't know the offline record, but it's online record. So Key seems to be dialed in here, if I had to say, as he pulls ahead now during the 4th round, I believe it is. And he's looking quite strong, Key. Like, he's looking very consistent, very stable, very just consistent. It's the biggest word I can use for him.
I've ever heard it.
Yeah, we will see as we look towards the bottom of the pack. Josh, again, second behind. I don't know what's happened to him. He kind of looked like the strongest going into this match, I think, as Babs and Jussie seem to want to try and catch Key here towards the final turns. That's a dodgy Key from Jussie as he crashes, and that should be a Key first place. And that is a PB from Key. Wow.
An online PB from Key.
Yes. But regardless, I don't think the Casicus is real.
That's true. And that was a big mistake from Jussie. Both Jussie and Babs made a mistake. Babs's wasn't enough for Josh to catch up. And also, I do find it interesting that it's saying that Josh has 0% crashes. I think he's crashed the last 3 rounds, so not sure what's going on there. But speaking of crashes, I believe there's already been a crash this round from Babs. It's not super significant. It's not enough to count him out the round. He can still catch up, but you don't want to be making simple mistakes at the start. And especially when you've got Key driving like he has done the last few rounds. It's already track points if there's a round win here for Evo, although that's a really dodgy line from Key. And that's also a dodgy touch from Jussie. That's bad from both of them. Who's going to come out of that with more speed? It looks like Key will. Up front, we've got Josh. He's already got 0.3 on Babs after that mistake at the start. And this is looking like a round win for Evo, which would be map point. So will there be any more mistakes? Will Babs be able to catch Josh? Jussie's already too far behind from Key, and it looks like that will be a round win from Evo, also with this finish from Jussie, which didn't matter anyway, but that is the track point for them and victory. So Flower, which I believe was actually Good Focus's map pick, has already gone to Evo Esports. It was still close, but just a few too many touches. Yeah,
that's kind of backfired on him, hasn't it, really? I mean, I'm most surprised at Josh crashing so much. As I said, going towards the start of the match, Josh seemed like the strongest player in the lobby, at least to me. And he just seemed very crash heavy. Maybe he hasn't woke up properly. Maybe, first round jitters, first map jitters. Maybe, just maybe he, shows his actual strengths and true class on the next map, which I believe is Perfect Blue. Yatta, can you tell us a bit about this map?
So, Perfect Blue is an interesting map. It's the one I've played the most, and it has a particularly hard section which they're coming up to now in the warm-up, with that drift being very, very tight into a quarter pipe jump, which is very difficult. Both in order to you need to make sure you have the right speed, and you can obviously low jump it as well to try and risk a bit more if you're behind. And we'll have to see if any of the players end up doing that. But it's going to be very interesting. And obviously this being Evo's map pick as well, we'd expect them to be the favourites on this, although I do expect them to be the favourite in this match, as I said at the start anyway. So moving into round one, we have some drifts at the start where you drop down into third gear, which is intentional. You can't keep the fourth gear there. And then coming up to this drift section here, it looks like Josh and Key seem to have the advantage. Although saying that, Key did crash. He hasn't lost a ton of time, but maybe a little bit of speed, which does get equalized there as there's a massive release. Otherwise you go flying off that hill. And coming into the midsection of the map here, Key is actually still ahead of Babs, with Jussie in second place. Not too far behind Josh, but coming into the scary drift section here and Jussie had to release, and he's had to go really high there. Although he still manages to keep second place ahead of Josh. Key is not too far behind, but there's a touch there from Josh up in front, which has let Jussie have the lead, and he can't even go for the risky finish, so Babs will pass him on the line.
Wow.
And that's a round win for Good Focus.
Yeah, Good Focus will be grinning ear to ear with that win. I don't know what happened towards the end there, but that is a huge snipe from Babs there, and that might even give him a good boost to go towards winning this match, really. I mean, when I played this map, it was so hard. It's like, I do have to give the players their flowers to drive this map so consistently, put so much time into it, and it's just phenomenal, really. Like this no engine off where you have to release there, it's so difficult. Like the slightest speed, like, if you have more speed than you're wanting, you can just go flying, crash, and you're probably just out for the round. It's looking like a close round here as we go up to the quarter pipe. Everything could change here. Let's have a look. Babs goes very, very high.
He missed the quarter pipe jump.
So Josh would have to secure first here just for the draw, which he does. And Key crashing. That's actually a really nice time. A 0.7. Line record is 0.7. I mean, Josh looks dialed in on this map now.
Well, he did make a mistake in the first round, which cost his team the round, so he's got a 50% success rate.
The duality of man, for sure.
But Key has been looking the most consistent so far out of the match, I would say, but he did make a big mistake. He actually completely missed the quarter pipe jump. He didn't reach the second one and had to respawn because he had to really... Oh, who's missed the checkpoint there?
Josh.
Josh missed the consistency, according to Jake. Has missed the checkpoint. And now it's all on Key to hold down the round, but that's different lines there from Jussie and Key. Key releasing early to get a more exit speed, and Jussie taking it all the way through and releasing part way through the turn. It's close between the two of them. There's only 0.1. Who will get the quarter pipe jump? Key did make a mistake on this last time, and he's still not taking it safe. That was a very low jump, and he's actually extending his lead there. Babs taking it a bit safer, which is what he should be doing at this point, because he's so far ahead of Josh and not going to catch Key. And Key manages to get 53.8, which is a decent time, and it's good enough to secure the draw for his team.
Yeah, I mean, that is only 0.1 slower than his PB. Online, of course. Key did all he could there. He had to push and had to stay ahead of Jussie and Babs just to secure the point, just to secure the draw. It's so vital. Like, every single point you can scrounge in these matches is going to go a long way. Because obviously if you get a first and second, it's 3 points. So the tide can change really, really quick on this map. On these maps, I should say.
Yep, and coming into now the middle part of the map with the big release, everybody does it fine, but Key and Josh are out in front, and Jussie does need to push here. He's the only one really within contention of passing the two of them, and that's not a great turn from him. I think he's lost a little bit of time there, although he's taking this very inside, very aggressively. How will this fare for the quarter pipe jump? I think Josh had to release slightly, still makes it, and he's still 0.2 ahead here of Jussie. He's risking the drift here, and he's got more speed than Josh. He looks like he's going to pass him on the line, and he does, into second place. That's so big. An ace versus a round win is so important because there's only 1 point difference on a round win, but an ace is 3 points, which is huge. And it also doesn't increase your chance, your points towards victory. So an ace is the only way if someone's on 9 points to catch back up to them, and you don't want to get to that stage.
No, for sure. I mean, I'm surprised that the consistency isn't at 100% yet. Again, it is the first match of the day. Was that a Josh crash I see?
It's a Josh crash.
as we move, Key, I think, is doing a lot of the legwork here in this on this map for sure. I mean, going into this quarter pipe jump, does he take it low again? Takes it so low. Not as low as he has done in the previous rounds, but he is still maxing that jump for sure. As Jussie isn't too far behind him. If he has the speed, no. Jussie goes safe. That is probably the right strategy to go for the safe finish here. As you know, Josh is so far behind and cannot catch just to secure the points.
Yeah, it's smart. I saw it from another round as well when he knew he couldn't catch. There's no point going for the risky finish. If you're far enough ahead, then it's not going to make a difference. And that risky finish is a speed check, and it's not totally free. For players of this caliber, you'd expect to get it, but in that 1 in 10 chance or whatever that you don't, it's a pointless risk. And as you said, Key, the most consistent, did make a small mistake, but somehow he's still in contention. It barely lost him anything. It was a micro touch, shall we call it?
Yeah, I believe it was a gear-free dirt moment. I do believe the speed check at the end is around the 278 mark, I believe. I don't have the exact number, but I know it is around that mark as we head into the quarter pipe, which is probably the biggest identity on this map. Everyone's looking come out kind of close. This is really up in the air.
He touched again, and is that going to give a window? He's going safe. He might not have had enough speed, and he keeps ahead of Babs on the line. Oh, that's a big turning point for this map. Because Babs there could have overtaken Key on the line if he'd have managed to get the risky finish.
Yeah, no, this match is a nail biter for sure. This match is a lot better match than Flower that we had first. It's a lot closer, I would say. Maybe the players have warmed up now as Key crashes. Jussie and Babs, if they just switch on HUD even for a second, they should know that Key seems to be out, and there's no way he can catch this time, right? Surely.
Yeah, definitely not. But I mean, even then, they should still be pushing because if they get an ace, they win the track. Thanks, Babs, for that. A big mistake from Babs. He had to double respawn and has crashed again. That is Babs completely out the round. Jussie has to win now. If he gets overtaken here, it doesn't look like he will, though. He's got a bit too much in the lead here for Josh. And Key, actually, it's close between Babs and Key. Well, it's not actually as close as I thought. No. It was close on the time, but there was another respawn, I believe. And Babs is going for the style points with the risky fin. But yeah, a bit of a scuffed round there.
Yeah, no, this match is on a wire. It could go either way. For example, if Good Focus just get an ace now, it's their match. So, Good Focus, would the strategy be to safe and hope for a crash, or would it be push?
I would say it would be push, and the reason for this is because both Key and Josh are the faster players, it looks like. So, if they get a round win, they win. So one of the two of Babs and Jussie has to win this round, because otherwise it'll be 1 point all at best for them. So they both need to push, even with one big mistake. So, and it looks like Jussie is the only one in contention. Babs is actually quite far behind, so Jussie is going to have to pass Key, and he's going to need a mistake from one of the two of them. Although it's just there's not enough track left. Jussie is going to pass Key, but as long as they can even go safe, yeah, and Josh does go safe, which gives the... I believe that gives the map to Evo. No, it doesn't, because it needs to be too clear.
Oh. Are you sure?
Or it doesn't. No, maybe not.
Streamer, that's not no.
It said match point. I assumed that was fine, but then it said match point, and yeah, I guess that's wrong. We're moving on to the next map. We're moving on from that point anyway. And we are moving on to the map where we will not say its full name.
Yeah. Soccer is probably, I would say, the most cooked map in the map pack. There is a no grip 360, the one I mentioned earlier, towards the end, which can save you so much time. We've seen in the qualifiers when it was Wizzy vs Epos, and Wizzy would always, and I mean always, snipe Epos on the no grip 360. It is such a difficult thing to do. I can't say I can do it because I can't, I'd be lying. But it just shows the strength of these players that can just do it consistency, really.
If I remember correctly, I think Key is quite a good ice player as well, and I think this will very much suit him. The no grip 360. One thing to point out here as well is this is also Evo's map pick. So the first one was good focus, and then it was 2 from Evo. So this is something that they were quite confident in, even more confident than the last map, which admittedly was closer. I think so far the teams have been performing better on the other team's map pick. So let's see if that continues going on into the first round here.
Yeah, I mean, the starting off seems awfully close, as you'd expect it. Going into this outside is quite scary. Again, you kind of got to just throw yourself at it. As we go into the wet wheels reactor bug slide, which is a mouthful to say at least. You got to get a tight turn around here. You've got yourself... This part is so hard to do. I remember trying to do it in TA and she kept crashing. I'm not as precise as Jussie does take a sizable lead of around 0.1.5, and we go into the no grip. As Key touches, is anybody to catch him? Josh does catch him, so it's going to be Jussie first, Josh second, Key third, and Babs fourth. What happened to Babs? Did you see?
Yes, he crashed coming out of the wet wheel section into the wall. But that was actually a PB from Jussie, or at least an online PB.
It was.
It was a fast time as well.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's been a few mistakes creeping into Babs's game over the last few rounds, and I think if he can pick that up and keep it a bit more on the track, I think they're in with a good shout here, because Evo have not been as consistent as I expected. There's been a few mistakes, and speaking of, that's not a caster's curse. It might be, but Key does crash as well. And in fact, I think there's been a few crashes. Yeah, Babs crashes as well. So
as Josh touches it too.
And Josh touches as well. So Jussie has somehow found himself in the lead. And is that another touch there from Josh? It is. And I think that's a mistake from everyone so far. Maybe Jussie not, but if so, it was just one of the slower rounds. And Kia's made a mistake twice on that no grip section after I said I expect him to be good at it. And Babs has touched, and he just about manages to hold it on the line, but he had so little speed. And that is an ace for good focus, and that is so huge in the context of this match, and especially of this map.
Yeah, for sure. It also might be worth mentioning, I don't believe we mentioned it at the start, this will be Evo's last tournament under the name Evo, as they are going through a rebrand, I believe. So maybe they want to push and for one last win and make it a fairy tale moment, I'll say.
Yep, and if they keep crashing like they have been, it's not going to end up that way for them. But anyway, Babs is in third place, and Jussie has actually DNF'd, so... This is going to be almost certainly an ace unless Babs can pull something out of his hat.
And call him a
And
magician.
to be fair, he's not too far behind Josh. And there has been a lot of mistakes here on this section. Babs is the one who makes the mistake this time, so... Josh makes a huge mistake at the end. He hands second place to Babs. He clipped when jumping to the finish and went straight into the wall. That is a shocking mistake from Josh.
That's not going to do any good to your mental at all. From being so crashed in the previous round and then that. I mean, Babs, like you said, pull something out the hat. Call him a magician, Harry Houdini, because he's just done a miracle there. I mean, Babs had no right in earning a point for his team there, and yet he did. So, as we get a touch from Jussie there... Oh, it was Josh. Yeah, I think Josh might need a reset. Maybe just DNF this round, takes a big deep breath. He doesn't actually seem that far. He's only 0.6 behind. He's actually gaining. I mean, the top three is so close here, going into the no grip 360, which once again is so difficult and can save you so much time. And Josh has actually overtaken Babs here to secure a point. Wow. I think that's made up for his
no, it hasn't.
Mistake last round. I would say it
hasn't. Well, that's gone from being a 2-1 to a 1-1, and the previous one was a 3-0 to a 2-1. So he lost 2 points from the mistake, and he's gained 1 back from that pass. So maybe it will help with the mental, but in terms of overall scores for the match, it hasn't made up for it. But that was also a Babs mistake more so than a Josh push. I think Babs either had the wrong line or was trying to save it because he made a mistake last round on it. But he lost so much time. He probably lost 0.3 in that section, and it was enough for Josh to pass him on the line. Coming here into the second half of the map, this is looking much better for Evo. They've got 1 and 2 in the rankings so far, with Key being 0.2 ahead, but it basically being dead even between Jussie and Josh. However, Jussie makes a huge mistake, and now it's just, can Josh make the finish? He absolutely can. Not repeating the same mistake as earlier, and that is a PB for Key as well, who again has been the most consistent. Well, the first few rounds he wasn't, but he seems to be one of the most consistent in the match and putting down some good times as well.
Yeah, I mean, Key just drove a 0.3 PB in round. I mean, that is amazing. I mean, the world record here, as you can see in the top left, is Bozbez with a 53.8, and it's not far from them at all. Especially in rounds, it's so difficult to do. But you can just see how much you've sort of got to push on these rounds just to keep up with the level of the competitiveness. As Key is absolutely bombing ahead here with a 0.2 lead. He seems to have lost it a bit going into this outside. Anything can happen. Anyone can touch. No one touches. Going into this no grip 360 once again. And it looks like one has fallen off. Going into the final turn. Key and Josh first.
Is
and second.
The whole match to Evo as a result of that mistake.
Yeah.
Jussie was in first place. It was going to be a drawn round. It could have even been a little bit better for good focus. But instead, that's a 3-0 ace, which gives the whole match to Evo Esports.
Yeah, and that will put them into the lower bracket, which I assume we will find out the results of the on-stage game later.
That will put Evo into keeping them in the upper bracket. It'll put.
I meant good focus. Yes, of course. In terms of Evo, would you be happy with that performance?
I'd say yes. I mean, there were mistakes, there were things to improve on, but the pace was definitely there. And on paper, this was a very tricky match for them in the sense of it's theoretically the closest match in the competition at this stage. And they got through 3-0. So I think if you asked them would they take that before the match, it would definitely be yes. I think Key would probably be a bit happier with the performance than Josh. I'll put it that way. Josh definitely had the pace, but there was just a few too many mistakes. But at the end of the day, it's the first match of the LAN. There's a lot of pressure on. And if you can iron out some of those mistakes going into some of the later games, I think they've got a decent chance, at least of making it far in the competition. Maybe not winning it, but getting far is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like you said, you if you offer them a 3-0 win at the start of the day, they'd probably bite your hand off. I know I would. First game at a LAN, jitters, nerves, waking up groggy from the night before, maybe if they went out. And to come in and just 3-0, it's almost like a statement, I'd say. It's maybe a message to the rest of the competitors and the teams in this tournament to say, watch out, because we want to win here. We're going for the finals.
Yeah, and I think their times on soccer as well were very good. As you said, the 0.8 was the world record, and they were getting relatively consistent 0.9s. So they looked very strong on that map. And I think going into the next round of the upper bracket, they will be facing one of, and I don't know if there's a result of this match, but I will be respectful and say one of Boz and Jadon or Idle and Louis. So we don't know which at this point. But when they're facing Boz's team in the next round, how do you think they're going to get on there?
It depends who goes through. Like you said, you'll be respectful and nice. They're both good teams in their own right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not throwing shade to any teams here. There is obviously one team stronger than the other. So it just depends who goes through, really. But regardless, I think it'd be a really competitive match, a really close match, because, like I said at the start, they've all gone through quali, they've earned their place to be here, and they're all exceptional players, really.
They are. I think they'd be favourites in one of those two matchups, not so much in the other one. And I think also in the lower brackets now, I think Good Focus will be playing the loser of that match. So they'll either be playing Idle's team or Boz's team. However, if that is the match that was on stream 1, I believe it's already finished, and I think that gives us a good indication of who won. We're being totally honest here.
Yeah, I mean, just to say for the viewers as well, if they are unaware, there is another stream going on currently on the British and Irish Trap Mania channel that are showing other games. So if perhaps you don't like this match, you could always move over there and watch that match if you're more interested in the players in that one going on.
I've never known a co-caster to try and take viewers to a different stream, even if it is the same tournament. But, you know, if you're fed up with Jake, please feel free to leave. I think it's my sake.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, I think we might be going to a short break, as I believe the next match will be on. In fact, I think it's going to be in 25 minutes, but I think we will go for a break and then come back in a little bit for this match.
Sounds good.